Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ron Placone and Steph Zamorano. Ron Placone, we're doing a comedy show August 30th, right?
Yeah, man.
At
August
the Sycamore.
30th at the Sycamore Tavern upstairs at the dojo. It's politics night. You're going to be popping in.
Are you going to tell me there's parking?
There is free parking there.
In L.A.?
That's on Sunset Boulevard and Sycamore, August 30th. Plus, you're going to be doing the road in November, right?
Yeah, November 2nd, Graham Elwood and I are going to be in Sacramento, California, November 3rd, San Francisco, and then I will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, November 23rd. Tickets for all those shows available at ronplacone.com.
All right, let's get to Jake Tapper. So we all know about this. So this is from Ro Khanna. Current cost of healthcare in the United States over the next 10 years will be $49 trillion. And it leaves 29 million Americans uninsured. Medicare for All will cost $32 trillion. Leaves no one out. Costs less, covers everybody. So that $17 trillion that goes right to the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies. That's where that money goes. So we cut out the middleman, we negotiate prices for drugs lower, we save $17 trillion. Those are the actual facts. Now you know that the billionaire Koch brothers, the right-wing maniacs, they funded a study by the Mercatus Center, which is a libertarian think tank. This guy named Bullhouse did the study. Even he concluded that it would save $2 trillion. They didn't like what that said. They were like, oh my God, even we're telling the truth, kind of? We can't let people know that Medicare for All actually saves money. So they started this big PR campaign to get rid of it. I mean, to get people to push back. In the media, and it worked. It worked. They would send out these emails to people, and well, here, for instance, so here's the Washington Post.
Let me thank the Koch brothers of all people for sponsoring a study that shows that Medicare for All would save the American people $2 trillion over a 10-year period.
Senator Bernie Sanders' plan generously assumes the doctors, hospitals, and drug companies would be paid 40% less than they are now, and that demand for health insurance would jump by 11%. Even if this did happen, the plan would still boost government spending by $32.6 trillion over its first 10 years. Democrats are cherry-picking numbers that even the study's authors say are unlikely to materialize.
This is a fact checker at the Washington Post. So the Washington Post picks up on the right-wing talking points that was pushed out by the Mercatus Center, telling people to actually misrepresent the findings of the study. Meg Kelly over at Washington Post can't wait to do it. And this is a lie. So what they're not telling you, and how is it a lie, Jimmy? Well, because they're doing exactly what they're claiming Democrats are doing. They're cherry-picking numbers. That $32 trillion number, I just showed you, that without Medicare for All, it would be $49 trillion. They leave that part out. They don't watch. You think I'm kidding? Watch.
They earn 3 Pinocchios.
And that's it. That's their whole fact check. That's it. That's Meg Kelly. By the way, she went to Columbia. Woo! She went to Columbia to learn how to bullshit like that. 3 Pinocchios. What the F? That's the Washington Post. And now you know why people get their news from YouTube. Isn't that awesome? That's their entire... You want to see their entire fact check again? Here it is.
Let me thank the Koch brothers of all people for sponsoring a study that shows that Medicare for All would save the American people $2 trillion over a 10-year period.
Which is exactly what their study showed. That's a fact that their study showed that. So they're going to fact check this. This is awesome.
Senator Bernie Sanders' plan generously assumes the doctors, hospitals, and drug companies.
And by the way, this is someone named Meg Kelly, not Megan Kelly. Mm-hmm. Meg Kelly, someone equally horrible.
Would be paid 40% less than they are now, and that demand for health insurance would jump by 11%. Even if this did happen, the plan would still boost government spending by $32.6 trillion over its first 10 years. Democrats are cherry-picking numbers that even the study's authors say are unlikely to materialize. they earn 3 Pinocchios.
Democracy dies in darkness. Democracy dies in darkness, and we'll help by turning off the light. This is the Washington Post lying to you. This is the Washington Post, bald-faced lying, misleading people. Imagine if the media actually told the truth about Medicare for All, how fast we'd have it. So that's the Washington Post lying.
Well, they misled people in 3 ways.
Yes.
The first way was they didn't mention what we're already spending.
Right.
That was the first way. The second way, and we're going to get into this more when we get to Jake Tapper, they're focusing on government expenditure because what it's doing is it's going to reallocate the way we spend the money.
Correct.
Bernie Sanders very intentionally said the American people.
Not the government.
The government.
It saves the American people trillions of dollars, not the government. It saves the American people.
So they're misleading in that way. And the third way they're misleading, Bernie's not even a Democrat.
So one of the first comments underneath this video on Facebook was by a guy named Mattman Returns. And
That's awesome.
And he says, the narrator says it would boost spending by $32 trillion, which leads one to think $32 trillion more than what's being spent now. That's misleading. That's a lie. So when you gaslight people intentionally so they get the wrong idea, that's a lie. This is the Washington Post lying on Facebook. Is Zuckerberg going to take their page down? I guess not. I guess it's okay if you lie in the aid of the corporation. So if you're lying for the corporation, we'll actually boost it. So that's misleading, especially since that figure is less than we already pay. $32 trillion less than what we're already paying. Sanders' commentary also focuses on what Americans in general will be saving, where a small increase in taxes leads to elimination of large monthly premiums with more robust care provided. You ignore this crucial aspect. Instead, you're choosing to focus on the financial hit hospitals will face by taking CEO and shareholder profits out of the mix. Not having to gorge the rich doesn't mean hospitals won't be able to turn a profit. You accuse liberals of cherry-picking data, yet you're framing data in a way that misleads the viewer and undermines the welfare of the American people. Washington Post is the enemy of the American people. And I don't say that lightly. This is a perfect example. If the Washington Post told you the truth about what's actually happening, we wouldn't be in 8 fucking wars. Everybody would have had Medicare for All decades ago, and we wouldn't be the world's biggest penal colony. But the Washington Post doesn't tell you the truth, which is why people have the all-time low confidence in establishment media. But this isn't about the Washington Post. This is going to be about Jake Tapper. So Jake Tapper did the same thing. Here's Jake Tapper taking on that study and totally misrepresenting the facts. In fact, he's going to call this a fact check. He doesn't actually do any fact checking. Fact checking would be if you took that study and then you went and fact checked the facts in the study or the assertions in the study. Jake Tapper checked them. He doesn't do that. Watch what he actually does. And by the way, he's not doing this by himself. CNN has hooked up with factcheck.org to check the facts on stuff. They originally did this in 2016 leading up to the election because they wanted to be able to fact check candidates' statements if they were true or not. So you know what CNN did? They had to get an outside company to teach them how to do fact checking. Why else would they hook up with factcheck.org? They're a news organization. They're like, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we check the accuracy of political candidates' statements during a presidential campaign? Oh, sure. What would we call that? We'll call it a fact check. Oh, how do you do that? Does anyone at CNN know how to do a fact check? No? What should we do? Well, I know there's a website called factcheck.org.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, let's wait, because I posted a Craigslist ad. We'll see if we get any responses.
CNN, when they wanted to do a fact check, literally had to contract with an outside company to figure out. They had to go outside the fucking building to figure out how to do a fact check. And now you'll know why, because they don't know how to do a fact check. Here we go.
Hey everybody, it's Jake Tapper from CNN State of the Union and factcheck.org, and this week we're going to take a look at a claim made by 2 self-identified Democratic socialists, Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders and New York congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
misleading Medicare for All claims. This is their fact check. And it's by, there it is, factcheck.org and State of the Union.
They say that a study funded by the billionaire Koch brothers, who are generally, I think it's fair to say, libertarians and conservatives, that the Medicare for All proposal would actually save the government money.
Let me thank the Koch brothers, of all people, for sponsoring a study that shows that Medicare for All would save the American people $2 trillion over a 10-year period.
Now, that's a fact. That's not debatable. That is what the study shows. That's not debatable. But people are going to lie about that. By the way, they're pissed off that Ocasio-Cortez also got to tell the truth on CNN.
That Medicare for All is actually is actually much cheaper than the current system that we pay right now.
Is that true?
Yes. Yes, that's true, Jake. And he's like, he's the only guy who doesn't know. Even the guy who wrote that study knows that. The Koch brothers know it. That's why they're doing propaganda. Everybody knows Medicare for All saves fucking money. Everybody in the world knows we pay twice as much for our health care as the rest of the Western world does. Everyone knows Canada pays half as much as we do for better outcomes, and they cover everybody. The only guy who doesn't know it is a guy who claims to be a fact checker. And he's such a phony, I'm going to guess he even sprays fake gray into his hair to make himself look more authoritative.
Study funded by the Koch brothers indicate that Medicare for All would actually save the U.S. government trillions of dollars?
Yes! Yes, the trillions it did, Jake. But I have a tie on, and I have bags under my eyes, and wrinkles on my forehead, and gray hair. How could I not be telling you the truth? Do guys like me look like bullshitters? Yes, you're a bullshitting liar.
But Jimmy, he's saying it kind of exaggerated and wacky. And now I'm not sure.
No, it's not true, at least not according to the author of the study. The study in question.
So Jake didn't fact check that. Is it true that Medicare for All will save trillions? No, it won't. According to the author, that's not a fact check, Jake. When you call the author, that's like saying, hey, Alex Jones says that there are lizard people running our government. Is it true? Well, we called Alex. He said it is. There you go. You don't call the guy who's pushing the propaganda. You go look at the study. And then you check the conclusions or assertions in that study against actual fucking facts. Against actual data. They didn't do that. What does Jake do? Oh, we called the guy. We called the guy who wrote that study. And he says no. That's the amount of his fact checking. Jake, in case you didn't know that, that's not fact checking. That's called the opposite of fact checking. That's called pushing corporate propaganda funded by the Koch brothers. And you're calling it a fact check. And now you know why people get their news from YouTube. Well, let's watch the rest of this bullshit. Here we go.
Is a working paper from the Mercatus Center at George Mason University that looked at the 10-year impact of Senator Sanders' proposed Medicare for All plan. Now, while it's true that the Koch brothers have given millions of dollars to the Mercatus Center at George Mason University, and an AP investigation earlier this year suggested that the Koch brothers do have control and influence over the hiring and firing of professors, we should note, for whatever it's worth, the authors of this study said the Koch brothers did not influence them in any way.
Why would you even repeat that? Why would you? And even though Chuck Schumer has taken millions of dollars from Wall Street, he says it doesn't affect him. So here we go. So now let's just go ahead and repeat Chuck Schumer's propaganda and pretend it's fact. That's what he's going to do. So now let's go ahead and repeat their propaganda and pretend it's a fact. Watch.
We asked Senator Sanders' spokesperson. He told us that while the study says Medicare for All would increase the federal budget by roughly $32 trillion, it also says that the projected cost of all health care expenditures in the U.S. would drop by $2 trillion. The study's author says that $2 trillion drop is not actually his conclusion. He said that's based on assumptions made by Senator Sanders.
Well, Jake, did you read the study? Is it true? Well, he says This is all he does. Well, the study's author said, what does the study say, Jake? Did you read the study? Because if you read the study, you would know it says exactly what Bernie Sanders said it said. But you didn't read the study, and if you did, you're even a double liar. Because that's what it says. And that's why fact-checking, no one trusts it anymore. Snopes is bullshit. Factcheck.org is bullshit. CNN's fact-check is bullshit. PolitiFact is bullshit. MSNBC is bullshit. And everyone else knows it's bullshit. We all see through it. Here we go.
In fact, he wrote, quote, "It is likely that the actual cost of Medicare for All would be substantially greater than these estimates, which assume significant administrative and drug cost savings under the plan, and also assume that healthcare providers operating under Medicare for All will be reimbursed at rates more than 40% lower than those currently paid by private health insurance." In fact, he lays out an alternate scenario that does not include savings from provider payment cuts, and in that scenario, the report says there would be a net increase in healthcare spending.
There would be a net increase. If we went to the system the rest of the world uses that spends half as much as we do per person, yes, there would be. Boy, who are you going to believe, Ron? When I want healthcare numbers, I go to a billionaire chemical baron who funded studies questioning climate change. That's who he went to. I went to a guy who was funded by chemical barons, billionaire chemical barons, who also funded studies undermining climate change. That's his fact check. He didn't actually go check those facts. He just asked the guy who asserted those, did you assert those? He asserted it.
We're not here to make a judgment on the viability of Medicare for All. And
Yes, you are. It doesn't stop. It just would lie after, and he does it with a straight face. That's it. Wait, let me get.
Wow, that is right on. Oh my gosh.
Is that Jake Tapper?
I think it's Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper, what a lying tool. Please sue me.
we have no idea if the Koch brothers influenced the writing of this Mercatus Center study.
They don't even have an idea. We have no idea. A newsman. A newsman. A couple of chemical billionaires fund a fucking study to discredit Medicare for All. Even their own discrediting study actually credits Medicare for saving trillions of dollars. And this guy's like, I don't know. I bet when they give people money, they just get the, just the straight science.
I like the guy's response, too, the author's response to Jake Tapper, too. And they're citing this like it's some reputable, hey, well, what, did you actually say that? Well, Bernie Sanders concluded that.
Yeah.
From what?
From what?
From our study.
Yes.
So Bernie Sanders read the numbers, and I saw the numbers and preferred not to read them. So that's Bernie Sanders.
Jake Tapper says, who you going to believe, huh? Who you going to trust? A Koch brothers think tank or your lying eyes?
But it does seem pretty clear that the presentation being made by Senator Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about this study lacks a lot of context, and the author of the study says they are not being accurate. A reminder to all you politicians out.
That's not a fact check. If you ask the study guy who is a propagandist, that's not a fact check. Well, we took what this author studies, the study of the authors, the author of the study said, we took what he said, and we matched it up against actual facts. That's not what you did. You just go, we took what the author of the study said, and we pretended that was a fact check.
And again, it's so nonsensical what the guy said, too. I mean, I'm not a scientist.
What?
But right. But I do know, if you think your data is really faulty, would you go through with a study? Wouldn't you not do the study? If you're like, oh, gee, this data is not good, I should probably get better data before I go through with this study. That's what anybody would do. So this guy, it's like, he didn't like the results.
They didn't like the results.
That's all it is.
And so they got people at the Washington Post. They got their PR people, got the people at the Washington Post to lie and do a bullshit fact check. Same thing with that. Now you know why we're in 8 wars. Now you know why we're in 8 fucking wars. Now you know why we're still in Afghanistan, why we're still in Iraq, why we're still in Syria, why we're still in Libya. Now you know why we have 800 bases around the world and Russia has 9. There you go. Now you know why 30 million people don't have health care in the richest country in the world. Now you know why we spend 10 times more than the rest of the world does on bombs every year. Now you know why. It's because of fucking liars, and he is a liar. This isn't him making a mistake. He knows he's lying, and he's lying right through his teeth. He's a fucking liar.
He's a millionaire liar.
He's a
who
millionaire.
Probably has top-notch access to
healthcare.
any kind of health care that he needs or his family needs for the rest of their healthy millionaire lives.
He's never had to worry about, can I afford my medicine or do I buy gas? Can I afford my medicine? Do I go see the doctor? Does my kid get to eat? He's never had to make any of these decisions. Do I pay my rent or my electrical bill or do I take my kid to the doctor? He's never had to make any of these. So that's that guy. That guy is your enemy. That guy is a fucking liar who's the enemy of not only you, but America. America. He doesn't care that 29 million people freaking don't have health care. He doesn't care that you're going bankrupt, that almost all bankrupt, that more than half the bankruptcies in America are because of medical costs. He doesn't care about you or that. He's a lying millionaire, and he's a piece of it.
There, you're perfectly entitled to your own opinions, not to your own facts. I'm Jake Tapper for CNN State of the Union.
Clever.
Has CNN checked the fact that millions of Americans are suffering without health care? Have they checked that fact? Jake Tapper, our fact checkers conclude some people took out of context an out of context study that we presented out of context. By the way, with that fact check, I've just handed this paper. CNN just got millions of dollars of commercials from Pfizer, Aetna, and Cigna. It saves $2 trillion. That's almost enough to pay for the Iraq War. Boy, and by the way, I think hopefully that'll be the last time you see Bernie on CNN, and we look forward to seeing Bernie on the Jimmy Dore show. By the way, this guy, John Swartz, caught this. He goes, CNN published an op-ed by Jeffrey Sachs about Medicare for All, in which he said, quote, vital facts about it, Medicare for All, are routinely obscured from the public. Jake Tapper just went on to demonstrate how true that is. Jake Tapper left out how much we are currently paying for all our medicine in America, for healthcare in America. He left out how much you would actually save. He left out the context of 29 million Americans are covered under Bernie's plan and aren't covered right now. He left out that all the bankruptcies. He's leaving out all the relative important facts. The biggest one he's leaving out is that he's lying. It actually does save trillions of dollars.
You know, and I know we all say this, we're not mathematicians or anything like this, but the context of the amount of money that people are saving, you know where that money's going to go? It's going to go right into the economy.
Yes.
And that makes the country stronger.
Right. You're exactly right, Steph. So he links to this. There was an op-ed at CNN.com which said, watch coverage of this. The way horrible reporters like Jake Tapper are going to cover this is that they're going to leave out the vital facts. Here is that article. Medicare for All makes a lot of sense by Jeffrey Sachs. And look at this. Look at the picture. Chris Cuomo, socialism with a big X in it. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, and socialism is written kind of squiggly, like it's sinister.
They're not here to express judgments.
They're not here to express
That's not what they're here for.
So now they're doing, because the establishment is so scared to death that people know the benefits of Medicare for All. They're now going to Glenn Beck whiteboards. That's how fucking mental they are. So, and here's that article: the missing facts. Vital facts are routinely obscured from the public. Consider the recent Mercatus study. He speaks right about this. And then Jake Tapper goes on and does it. And so here is...
Like a good soldier.
Like a good corporate tool he is. And Jake Tapper is, for some reason, Jake Tapper, a lot of people on the left go, well, he's a straight shooter. Jake Tapper is a lying liar of all liars. He doesn't care he misleads you. He doesn't care you get the exact opposite idea about Medicare for All or the wars or any. He's just a flat out liar.
He gets all 4 Pinocchios.
I take umbrage with the Pinocchios. I think they should just say WMDs, just to remind everybody what kind of big fucking lies they've lied us into. Pinocchio's too cute. You know what I mean?
So Bernie Sanders decided to respond to this. So Bernie Sanders said, we correctly state that the Mercatus report found that the American people would save $2 trillion over 10 years under Medicare for All. The finding is right there in Table 2 of the Mercatus study. There it is. And he shows you each year, here's how much we would pay, and here's how much we're going to actually pay. Each year, these are in billions of dollars. So each year, it's less under his plan. And that savings over 10 years equals $2 trillion frickin' dollars. There it is. It's not Bernie's chart. That's the chart from the Mercatus Center study from that guy Blumhouse. So right there, Bernie, and he highlights it for him. Here you go, Jake. Here's the fucking study. Here's the fact. He also goes on and said, Tapper says the study author says that $2 trillion drop is not actually his conclusion. He says that's based on assumptions by Senator Sanders. Wrong. Provider payment rates in our plan are not assumptions. They are written into the bill. Any score that implies Medicare reimbursement rates with some other set of rates is not a score of our plan. So what he's saying is, no, Jake, it's not going to be that. It's going to be this because that's what's in our plan. Bernie Sanders says, what Tapper and others have done is say we're wrong because Blumhouse didn't actually intend to find that Medicare for All would be a great deal for Americans. The problem is Blumhouse did find it would save $2 trillion. He just doesn't like that people are celebrating it. And that's a fact. They thought it was going to scare the hell out of people with the sticker shock if they said, hey, it's $32 trillion. His plan costs $32 trillion. People be like, oh, they didn't realize that people were going to look a little farther into his study and go, oh, no, but even you agree it's $2 trillion less than what we would be spending anyway. So Bernie Sanders points this out to Jake Tapper. He also points out that he also points out that article by Jeffrey Sachs at CNN.com. Ironically, he also points out that these other people, this is a big smarty pants guy from Harvard, and they have found that even though the Mercatus study grossly underestimates the main sources of savings for Medicare for All, the central finding from the study is that it saves $2 trillion over a decade. He also points to Matt Bruning, has found that payments to medical providers would only go down by 10% or 10.6% under Medicare, not the 40% that Jake Tapper is saying, which could be more than made up for by the administration savings that it would achieve. So now your doctor doesn't have to spend all day on the phone with an insurance company trying to get your Medicare, your medicine approved or your treatment approved. So, and they don't have to have billing, all that stuff, it's all gone. So they save all those administrative costs. That's why you can pay them 10% less. Bernie says, Harold Pollack at the University of Chicago said, over the long run, the Sanders people are very correct that you could implement a system like that, and that would be more disciplined, more economical, and more fair than the current U.S. healthcare system. He says the founder of Medicare Rights Center says, Blumhouse concedes that Medicare for All will reduce national health spending by $2 trillion over 10 years, even after accounting for the cost of guaranteeing everyone coverage and offering better benefits. Bernie goes on. Ernie Tedeschi, a former economist at the Treasury Department, has also pointed out that the Mercatus study that Medicare for All would reduce national health. Boom, boom. Also, but instead of talking to any of these experts, the corporate fact checkers, meaning Jake Tapper, are blindly trusting the author of the Mercatus report, even though his previous studies have been called misleading, arbitrary, discredited, mighty odd, and bogus. And then he links to a study by Media Matters. And then, so this is his final tweet. Bernie says, so the question that must be asked is why would the corporate media, meaning Jake Tapper and the Washington Post, why would the corporate media put their blind faith in a far right-wing economist whose past reports have been so thoroughly discredited by mainstream economists and experts? So that's kind of a slam dunk. You couldn't get more of a slam dunk. He shows you the document from the chart from the study. He highlights it for you, their own numbers. So you think Jake Tapper's going to go, well, I guess you got me there.
Why would the corporate media do that, Jake? Why would the corporate media do that?
So Jake Tapper says, your views on the Mercatus Center study and Medicare for All are your own.
What?
Jake, he just showed you.
He cited like 10 people.
And they're not his. He cited the goddamn study. He showed you the chart. And Jake Tapper, instead of reading the chart and admitting he was wrong, pulls a page out of the Trump playbook and just doubles down on a lie, even though he's been publicly debunked on it. Jake Tapper, completely discredited, totally a liar, gets told where he's lying, doubles down on his lie. Why? Because Jake Tapper has zero integrity, is a liar, and is your enemy. That's why. He's a fucking liar, has no dignity, has no integrity, and he'll take his 30 grand a day, so he'll lie to you at the behest of who? People who want to keep you sick and make money off you. That's who Jake's lying for. His advertisers.
He'd make a terrible teacher, too, if I must say so. Like, yeah, there's no work cited here. Sorry, you get an F. There's like 12 sources here, Jake. Nope, nothing.
Show your sources, Bernie. He did. You know who didn't show his sources? You, Jake. And then he goes on, Senator, but 4 major fact checkers agree you're citing the report out of context. He just cited So again, Jake doesn't actually do fact checking. He just points to other people and goes, that guy said so. That guy said so. That guy said so. No, you have to actually show facts, Jake. You have to show your work. Like Bernie did. Bernie showed his work. He showed you the chart from the study. So there's Jake Tapper and Matt Brunning. There's Jake Tapper saying that you're citing the report out of context. And Matt Brunning, right underneath it, says, they're all wrong. And Jake, to talk about the fact checkers as if they are separate evaluations is nonsense. So Jake's pretending like those people did their own independent fact checking on this. And Matt Brunning's calling him out, saying that that's nonsense. Each one of them got the same spin from the same Mercatus author who has been doing intentional outreach to people like you to say this stuff. It's the same poison source. And they have. I should have had this loaded into the show. I don't. But people have the emails from the Mercatus Center to people like Jake Tapper telling him to say what he just said. And then he goes out and says it. And that's why Gallup found out America's trust in mass media sinks to a new low. So, and this all comes out of that, but it was also because of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went on CNN, and she actually told the truth about Medicare for All. And they can't have that because their sponsors don't want them telling the truth. Do you think Pfizer wants them to tell the truth about Medicare for All? Blue Cross? Eli Lilly? These people are raping America for profits, the sick. And so Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went on with Chris Cuomo, and he's very tall, and he's proud of it. He'll let you know. Ask him how tall he is. He'll tell you. Here we go.
Do you want to spend a lot of my tax money on these proposals that you and Bernie and others have? Medicare for all, college tuition, maybe even housing.
These are things that other countries take for granted the government is supposed to supply people. Medicine, Medicare for all, education, housing. You want to house homeless people? What? Do you hear him? Like, that's shit other countries just take for granted.
That the Green New Deal that you have, it is all very expensive, especially on the single payer side.
Saves us money. Again, here, imagine if they told the truth about it. Imagine if he goes, we all know Medicare for All saves trillions of dollars, instead of what he's saying, which is a lie, that it's more expensive. That's just a flat out lie. That's not true. And Chris Cuomo's a fucking liar, and so is Jake Tapper, and so is Wolf Blitzer. That's why they got the job. They didn't get the job because they're fierce truth tellers. They got the job because they're willing to do the bidding of their corporate overlords at every turn. They're not straight shooters. That's why they had to lie about our show, to scare advertisers away, because their fucking audience is 80 million years old and ours is in the demo. And advertisers like to reach these people that watch our show.
and that it gives people sticker shock. Even in Bernie's home state, they got sticker shock. They couldn't get it done in his state because of how expensive it is. And that was
No, how about they couldn't get it done because of people like you lying about it? How because the propaganda machine is funded to the tune of trillions of dollars to tell people the opposite of the truth, like you're doing right now, Chris Cuomo.
11% increase in taxes, 9 to 11%. Even that was too much for people. How do you pay? How do you sell it?
So first of all, the thing that we need to realize is people talk about the sticker shock of Medicare for All. They do not talk about the sticker shock of the cost of our existing system. In a Koch brothers funded study, if any study is going to try to be a little bit slanted, it would be one funded by the Koch brothers. It shows that Medicare for All is actually much cheaper than the current system that we pay right now. And let's not forget that the reason that the Supreme Court upheld the Affordable Care Act is because they ruled that each of these monthly payments that everyday Americans make is a tax. And so while it may not seem like we pay that tax on April 15th, we pay it every single month, or we do pay a tax season if we don't buy, these plans off of the exchange. So we're paying for this system. We Americans have the sticker shock of healthcare as it is. And what we're also not talking about is why aren't we incorporating the cost of all the funeral expenses of those who die because they can't afford access to healthcare? That is part of the cost of our system. Why don't we talk about the cost of reduced productivity because of people who need to go on disability, because of people who are not able to participate in our economy, because they're having issues like diabetes or they don't have access to the healthcare that they need. I think at the end of the day, we see that this is not a pipe dream. Every other developed nation in the world does this. Why can't America? And that is the question that we need to ask. We have done these things before. We write unlimited blank checks for war. We just wrote a $2 trillion check for that tax cut, the GOP tax cut, and nobody asked those folks how are they going to pay for it. So my question is, why is it that our pockets are only empty when it comes to education and healthcare for our kids? Why are our pockets only empty when we talk about 100% renewable energy that is going to save this planet and allow our children to thrive? We only have empty pockets when it comes to the morally right things to do. But when it comes to tax cuts for billionaires and when it comes to unlimited war, we seem to be able to invent that money very easily. And to me, it belies a lack of moral priorities that people have right now, especially the Republican Party.
So that got out on CNN, and they were like, hey, somebody get Tapper on the line. Tapper, can you go call factcheck.org, and can you both put together a very misleading segment on Medicare for All and the benefits? No, super misleading. Like a lie. Yeah, like a lie. And I don't know if you remember, but CNN, this was their big commercial last year.
This is an apple. Some people might try to tell you that it's a banana. They might scream banana, banana, banana over and over and over again. They might put banana in all caps. You might even start to believe that this is a banana. But it's not. This is an apple.
Little known fact, Jimmy, they went to factcheck.org to figure that out.
You know what else is weird? I called the author of that video who told me it was an orange.
Yeah.
So
CNN got it wrong again. We called the author. He said they're wrong. Their conclusion that the apple is an apple. You can't do that and then fucking completely lie about... And everyone knows it's a lie. Everyone knows Medicare for All saves money. Everyone knows that now. And this is going to have the Streisand effect. So what is the Streisand effect? The Streisand effect is when you try to suppress information that you don't want getting out, it actually backfires. One time, Barbara Streisand was complaining to the newspapers and people that they were taking pictures of her house from the air, and she wanted something done about it. Well, what was done about it was that everybody else started taking pictures of her house from the air and putting them on the internet. That's what happened. So that's called the Streisand effect. And so now that they're trying to pretend that Medicare for All is expensive and it costs more money, and now I think it's going to have the effect of more people now. I'm doing a story on it. I'm sure everybody, the Young Turks are doing a story on it. Every other person in the lefty media is doing a story about how this guy's lying. And I don't know if you remember, but we put up a poll that Fox and Friends put out to their own viewers and asked them, is the $32 trillion in Bernie's Medicare for All plan worth it? Even Fox and Friends viewers said yes. 73% of them said yes. So even they know better than Jake Tapper. And that's why they're full of shit. And that's why they're helping Trump. This helps Trump. When Jake Tapper lies about Medicare for All, it doesn't hurt Bernie Sanders. It helps Trump. Because now everyone knows CNN is in fact liars, lying propagandists who lie about every war and are lying to you about your own health care. Right now, they're trying to keep you sicker. Jake Tapper is lying at the behest of billionaires so that the poorest people in the world, in America, don't get health care. That's who Jake Tapper is, and nobody should ever forget it, that he is the worst of the worst, liars of liars. When is his Facebook page going to be taken down? Because he's doing real damage. No one believes fucking Alex Jones. A lot of people take what CNN says as actually being a fact because of bullshit like this. You're the resistance to Trump? You're going to be fact checkers? You guys are lie checkers. You're just liars. Jake Tapper is a liar. CNN are liars. You've seen them lie about this show. They're going to lie about they're lying about the wars now. They're going to lie about the next war, and they're going to lie about you for your health care for the rest of time. They are liars. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are, you're probably not. It only takes a second to check, and then you have to ring that bell so they send you a notification when we drop a new video. Otherwise, they won't tell you when we drop new videos. And if you like our show, please help support it. Become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every week, and we give a live stream. We do a live stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time when you could ask us questions, and we answer them back. Thanks for your support.